Every single no that you say is literally a spell. And I'm not being metaphorical here. Maybe you don't like the woo-woo language, but literally every boundary you set is an energetic declaration that removes non-resident timelines from your reality. And if you've been trying to manifest, but nothing's actually landing, then if you're doing all the visualization, all the affirmations, but your reality isn't actually shifting, I'm about to show you the missing piece that most spiritual teachers aren't telling you. They're not bringing to you, because here's a big truth bomb that is often missed in the spiritual community. Your lack of boundaries isn't just draining your energy, it's actively blocking your manifestations. Look, okay, I get why this might sound backwards, okay? We have been taught that spiritual evolution means being boundaryless, right? Being all love and light and really just accepting everything. Not true. Not true. Okay. My name is Adam Roa. I have been teaching personal development for, where are we at now? It was almost 13 years now, and I have manifested some pretty wild things in my life. And that includes a $1 million client who paid me $1 million for a 1-year coaching contract, and that was manifested within 5 days. That's out on the internet. You can go and hear that story out there. But it actually happened after doing deep worthiness work. I also manifested my poetry performance, which has been viewed over 250 million times. The poem, "You Are Who You've Been Looking For," actually happened. People don't know this about it, but I was at this event and I was sitting in the second row. There were 1,500 people, a personal development event. I had nothing to do with it. And I sat in that second row and I looked back and I saw all these people up in the mezzanine and in the audience. And I went, I could hold a crowd this big. I'm ready for that. And I closed my eyes and I just imagined that feeling of being on that stage and having all of the audience focus their attention on me. And up until that point, my audiences had been around like 30, 35. But I just felt the truth of I can do that. And I closed my eyes, imagined it. 24 hours later, I'm called on stage at that event the very next morning to deliver a poem at random, and it has become the most viral poetry performance in history. "You Are Who You've Been Looking For" has been viewed over 250 million views. I have helped countless clients manifest what they thought was impossible. And I am here to tell you that the whole high vibe boundarylessness, it is spiritual bypassing. It is keeping you broke, exhausted, and wondering why the universe isn't delivering, why your manifestations aren't working. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why your boundaries are how you manifest, why every limit that you set actually expands your possibilities. And I'm going to give you 3 powerful techniques that you can start using today. Okay? And I'm also going to share with you how my client Eric went from chronic people pleasing to manifesting a trip on a private jet and did over $20,000 in coaching in a single month, all because he finally understood what I'm about to share with you today. So here's the thing that nobody's really talking about. You are hemorrhaging energy. You are losing so much energy. Think about it. How many times today did you say yes when you really wanted to say no? How many conversations did you have that left you feeling drained? How many commitments are you maintaining that make your soul feel heavy? How many relationships do you have that you don't even really want to have? A job you don't like, people you don't like whatever it is. Every single one of those is an energy leak. And here's the kicker, okay? Manifestation requires surplus energy. Let that sink in. Manifestation requires surplus energy. You need energy beyond just surviving to actually hold the frequency of your desires long enough for them to materialize. Right? Does that make sense to you? If you're watching this video, you probably have heard of manifestation. You've probably heard of the law of attraction, like attracts like. It is energetic. You have to hold a frequency. But if you are literally leaking energy through poor boundaries, you are like a phone that is trying to download this huge file on only 2% battery. It's not going to happen. And here's the thing that really gets me, that a lot of this spiritual community often makes this worse. They'll tell you that setting boundaries isn't high vibe, that you should just raise your frequency above it all. You don't need to say no or have the opposition energy that a boundary requires. But do you know what's actually low vibe? Resentment, exhaustion. Saying yes when you mean no. That is not enlightenment. That is self-abandonment. That is not enlightenment. That is self-abandonment. And so let me share with you how this actually works, okay? The science behind the magic. Every boundary you set is an energetic declaration to the quantum field. If you're familiar with Joe Dispenza's work, there's a quantum field. What do you think we are swimming in? This soup, right? It's not empty space, it's possibility. Now, when you say no to something, you are collapsing probability waves. You are literally removing timelines where that thing exists in your reality. The Heart Math Institute has done fascinating research on heart coherence and emotional states. When you are in alignment, which includes having clear boundaries, your heart rhythm becomes more coherent. And that coherence is what allows you to broadcast a clear signal to the universe. Without boundaries, your signal is scrambled. You're broadcasting static. Think about it this way, okay? Your consciousness is like a magnet, but without boundaries, that magnet is covered in like metal shavings from everyone else's crap. It cannot attract what you actually want because it is just gunked up with what everyone else wants from you. And the crazy quantum piece of this is that in quantum physics, the observer affects the observed. The double slit experiment. You can go look this up. When you set a boundary, you're observing certain possibilities as being not in my reality. And this literally collapses those timelines. You're not pushing things away, you're clarifying which reality you are choosing to observe and participate in. It's conscious timeline selection. And as a result, because we are the creators, right? We are creating our reality through our observation, through the meaning that we are assigning to things. As a result to that, what we see begins to reinforce the reality of being on the timeline of what we want. But if you are living in a reality of saying yes to things you don't want, your timeline is reflecting to you that you are not on the timeline you want. And if you believe that you are not on that timeline, what do you think you're going to manifest more of? Actual research on boundaries consistently shows improved mental health, better relationships, and increased success in achieving your goals. Boundaries improve your mental health. Boundaries improve your relationships. And yes, they actually increase the success of you achieving your goals. But the energetic component, that's what the most scientists aren't measuring yet. That's the part that can feel kind of woo-woo, but it's true. Now, if boundaries are so powerful, why can't we set them? Right? You're listening to this, you're thinking to yourself, you're watching it on YouTube and you're thinking, you know what? I want to set boundaries, but I just have the hardest time. When it's my mom or my husband or whatever, I just can't set those boundaries. And this is where it gets really deep. Most of us were programmed from birth to believe that boundaries equal abandonment. That if we say no, we will lose love. We will be rejected for it. Maybe you grew up in a family where where having needs made you difficult. Have you ever been called difficult? You ever been told that you want too much? Maybe you grew up in a family where your mom's mood determined everyone's day, where saying no to your grandmother or your grandfather was basically a crime against the family. And so you learned that your worthiness depends on making others comfortable. My value is my usefulness, and love requires self-sacrifice. And so now, as an adult, trying to manifest abundance, more financial abundance, more joy, more love, you're still running that old program. You're trying to manifest from a frequency of I'm not enough as I am. Do you see that connection? To self-sacrifice is to say I'm not enough as I am. But your boundary issues are worthiness issues in disguise. Okay? When you tolerate disrespect, you're affirming to the universe, I'm not worthy of respect. When you say yes to things that drain you, you're actually saying my energy isn't valuable. When you let people cross your boundaries, you are sending a broadcast signal that says what I want doesn't matter. And then do you really wonder why the universe isn't delivering your manifestations? You're literally telling it you're not worthy to receive them, and what you want doesn't actually matter. This is shadow work 101, personal development 101. And I get that it's nuanced and it's sometimes hard to see, and hopefully this video is helping you see it. The parts of you that you have exiled, your anger, your needs, your permission to say no, they're not bad. They're powerful. They're the missing pieces of your manifestation puzzle. And so now I want to get practical. Okay, I want to give you 3 techniques that will transform your boundaries and your manifestations, and each one builds on each other. All right, so technique number 1, I call this the energy audit. For the next 7 days, 1 week, can you commit 1 week? Is this important enough to you to commit 1 week to do this? For the next 7 days, I want you to track every interaction that leaves you feeling drained. Every single one. Rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 for how much they drain your energy. And then I want you to go back at the end of the week and look for patterns. Is it certain people? Is it certain types of requests? Is it certain times of day? And here's the key. For each of the energy leaks, write a specific boundary statement. Not, I need better boundaries with my mom. No. An actual, practical, tangible boundary. I will only take my mom's calls between 6 and 7 p.m. on weekdays. And then this is a crucial part of it, okay? Write a letter to the universe declaring these boundaries as non-negotiable aspects of your reality. You are literally updating your cosmic contract. And I can tell you, this is not what this video is about, but working with contracts is something I've done in my spiritual practice for a very long time, and it is incredibly effective. And by the way, if you are finding this valuable, hit that subscribe button, because I do drop videos like this every single week, and we'll probably do one on cosmic contracts in the future, and I want to make sure that you get it, okay? Now, technique number 2, right? So you have the energy audit. Now we're going into technique number 2, which is the future self boundary setting. Now that you know where you're leaking your energy, let's see what boundaries your highest self actually wants to hold. So close your eyes. Come on. Connect with the version of you who's already manifested everything you want. Deep breaths. And really feel into the energy of you having manifested everything you want. Feel into that version of you. Notice, how do you move through the world? And I want you to ask that version of you, what boundaries do you have that I don't? Listen. Intuitively listen. It may not make sense logically. Maybe it does. But ask that question and listen for the answer. What boundaries do you have that I don't? And they may say things like, I don't engage with drama. I only work with clients who actually respect my value. I protect my morning routine as sacred. Whatever it is, write down everything that you hear, that you intuitively feel when you ask that question. These aren't just boundaries. They're instructions from your future timeline. If you implement them now, you are going to collapse the distance between the current you and the future you. Okay? So now I'm going to go on to the third technique that's practical. I'm realizing right now I can make a video about each one of these techniques, but technique number 3 is the sacred no. How to practice the sacred no. Now that you know where you need boundaries and what boundaries to set, right? Like you've done the energy audit, you're going to see where you don't have, where you are leaking energy and therefore you need boundaries. You also get to see the future self and the boundaries that are needed. And it's time to build the muscle. It's time to integrate that by making new choices. So for 30 days, the next 30 days, put it in your calendar, just a nice reminder. Say no to something every single day. Start small. No to the fast food drive-through at the end of the day. When someone says you want to go to that thing and you're trying to hold that boundary against it, no. No to signing up for another newsletter. No to an extra piece of online shopping. No to meeting up for coffee with someone you don't really want to. Work your way up to the bigger stuff. But here's the manifestation twist to this. After each no, immediately write, by saying no to blank, I'm saying yes to blank. I'm saying yes to my manifestation. What is it? That way you're literally training your nervous system and your brain that saying no is safe, because saying no is actually saying yes to something that you want more. You are teaching yourself that boundaries create space for what you actually want. And I want to land this home for you with a story about Eric, my client Eric. Eric, I love you if you're watching this, because Eric's story perfectly illustrates how boundaries are beliefs. Because Eric was exhausted. We were working together and he was exhausted. He had a job. He was an entrepreneur, but his dream was building his coaching business. The problem was he couldn't hold any boundaries at work. He was constantly saying yes to extra projects. He was always making himself available. He was never protecting his time for his real passion. And in one of our one-on-one sessions, many of them actually, but we dug deeper in our one-on-one sessions and we found one of the root causes. You see, Eric believed that he didn't deserve better. He thought he should be grateful just to have a job where he was making good money. Who was he to demand boundaries? And here's the thing. Every time he compromised his boundaries, he was reinforcing that belief that he didn't deserve better. Every yes to working overtime was a no to his dreams. Every boundary that he let slide was the universe hearing from him, I don't deserve better. It was a vicious cycle. And the thing is that weak boundaries, when they're reinforcing unworthiness, they lead to unworthiness, creating weak boundaries. A vicious cycle. Weak boundaries, reinforcing unworthiness, meaning that I'm feeling more unworthy. And because I feel more unworthy, I create even weaker boundaries. Wild, right? How many of us get caught in that loop? We don't even realize it. And so we started small. He set one boundary, which was to leave work on time. It seems super small, but prior to this, he was consistently staying late to help out more and to cover for more problems that he believed were there. The first week, I'm be honest, the guilt was hard for him to deal with. He had so many parts inside himself that were trying to convince him that things would fall apart. But he stuck with it. He pushed through. He was sending me voice notes, and I was telling him, you got this. And eventually something shifted. By protecting his time, he began telling the universe that his dreams mattered, that he deserved to pursue those dreams. His worthiness began to grow. And as his worthiness grew, his boundaries got stronger. As his boundaries got stronger, his manifestation began to accelerate. And the very next month, Eric signed his first high-ticket private coaching client. This client didn't just pay him well, they flew him on a private jet for the first time in his life, something that is still on my bucket list. I still haven't had that experience yet. He manifested over $20,000 in a single month for his coaching. And that is the truth. Your boundaries are the reflection of your beliefs. If you change your boundaries, you will change your beliefs. And if you change your beliefs, you will change your reality. Change your boundaries, change your beliefs. Change your beliefs, change your reality. So the thing that I want you to understand as we land the plane here is that boundaries aren't the opposite of love. They are love. They are love for yourself, which creates the container for authentic love with others. Every boundary you set is a spell. It is an energetic declaration, a timeline selector. You are not pushing anything away. You are just getting crystal clear on what you are calling in. This universe is neutral. It does not judge. It just responds. And right now, it is responding to your lack of boundaries by sending you more situations that require boundaries so that you can set them. You're asking for more. It is giving you the curriculum. It is giving you the opportunity to become the person ready for more through setting boundaries. It is mirroring your self-treatment. And so my challenge for you is to start with the energy audit today. Just today, start to notice every single energy drain. Rate it, write it down. That's it. Awareness is the first step to transformation because awareness gives you choice and you can start to make new choices like owning your boundaries. And the thing is that to own boundaries, you need to know what you actually want. Okay? And I've made other videos about this, but I just want to make sure that you're aware. To own boundaries, you need to know what you actually want. And if you don't, if you're uncertain, and I just want you to know that's why I created the Soul Scavenger Hunt. It's a free 60-minute experience that's designed to help you discover what direction your soul actually wants you to go. It is fun. It's creative. It'll give you the clarity you need to set the boundaries that align with your truth. There's a link in the description. Again, it's free for a limited time. So please take advantage of that. Drop a comment below. What is one energy leak that you're noticing right now? Share it, own it. Watch how just naming it, even online, begins to shift it. And remember that your boundaries are your manifestation blueprint. Draw them clearly. The universe is waiting to deliver, but first, you need to create the space to receive. Thanks for listening, fam. I love you and want to remind you that always, in all ways, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.